You know, if they're going to have him come back, why did they even release a statement? And if he's not coming back, that's why you would release a statement like this. But it's just, I just can't wrap my head around it at all.
Well, I haven't seen the reporting. I have great respect for Stephen Nesbitt, but I haven't seen his story, so I don't want to speculate on that. This is the second time that Neil Huntington has said they'll address these things at the end of the season. I don't know who he means by they, especially if, you know, what ought to happen is Nutting should fire everybody he can find. You know, that's still what I think is going to happen. I don't think Clint Hurdle and Neil Huntington know what's going to happen at the end of the season, and that's maybe the source of the confusion.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I mean, do they not have I think they need some PR help over there, too. I mean, I think even if this story is wrong by Stephen Nesbitt, which I don't think it is, I'm sure Clint Hurdle said something like that. He said he has assurances that he will be the manager next year. That's what Nesbitt reported in The Athletic. But then, you know, a few hours later, the Pirates put out a statement like this, which causes confusion. And, I mean, I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand what they're doing over there.
Well, they might not either, Richie. I mean, it's not like they've never made a mistake over there in either their PR or their management protocols. You just have to wait and see. I know we're not allowed to say that on TV, wait and see. We're supposed to know everything at all times. I don't know.
So, if you were a betting man, you're saying that all three are gone.
That's what I'm saying. But, you know, I've been wrong 5,000 times.
Yeah. And I don't know what kind of feeling I have on that. I mean, I would imagine knowing Bob Nutting's track record that he's going to keep all those guys because he doesn't want to pay anyone any more money or anything to come in here and help turn things around. But all I know is this team, this organization is in some deep trouble right now. This is the worst I felt about the Pirates as the feeling that I have with fans and apathy and just people not even caring. And you looked over there, they said there were 10,000 people there. There were like 10 tonight. I mean, it's so bad. I was listening to the radio. My daughter had an open house today. I had to run over there. She's in kindergarten, checked out the open house, met with her teachers and stuff. But on my way back, I'm listening to the Bucco game. You could hear fans yelling.
Yeah.
You could hear the strikes and the balls. You could hear everything. I don't know. Just frustrating.
Well, there have been other times when, you know, the Pirates have been really depressing, you know, in the late 80s where it looked like they were going to move, and, you know, the late 90s when it looked like they were going to move. You know, the Pirates are not in danger of moving. Nutting, you know, to whatever credit you want to give him, he has kind of stabilized that thing. He's no interest in moving them. He's making $30–35 million a year off them, so he's very content to keep doing that.
I mean, what do they have to do next year? Frank Coonley came out and told John Shumway that, you know, they plan to correct this. They plan to make it right. Other than coming out and saying, we're going to spend more money, we're going to get the right people in here, we're going to compete on and off the field, we're going to get these guys, we're going to bump up the payroll to try to compete with everyone. They're not going to do that. But what can you say to get fans that want to come back again?
I don't know. You have to, like, double the payroll. You start with that. You have to land some kind of big-name free agent. I'm not that familiar with the free agent class. You have to do something to convince fans that you want to win. And there's nothing right now to convince fans that the Pirates want to win. They're owned by Bob Nutting. He does not care whether they win or not.
I mean, I don't know how they can come in next year and sell Jake Elmore. I mean, if he's going to be an outfielder. Or, I mean, for that matter, even Gregory Polanco anymore. The whole Gregory Polanco, Starling Marte, Brian Reynolds outfield, I don't think that's going to sell any more tickets. Brian Reynolds might, but he got hurt today. I mean, is it even worth him playing the next 4 games? I don't know, but Josh Bell was shut down today. So was Starling Marte. But there's really nothing to what do you do? I had just a fan, one of my buddies asked me, like, how do the Pirates spin this in the spring training? What do they get?
Very interesting.
What are they going to do to get people excited about next year?
I don't think they are. I don't think there's anything they can do.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing to do is double the payroll, land one or more big free agents, strengthen the pitching staff so that it looks promising. All of those things are either beyond their capabilities or beyond their inclinations.
Yeah, I mean, I have no faith in the Pirates doing that, but I think that's the only way to win people back is like the things that you said exactly. All right, we got to take a break. I'm interested to take phone calls tonight about this, that's for sure. 412-575-2600 on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. We'll be back in a couple minutes.